This sounds like a big order, and we can't.
Well, I would be amiss if I didn't say I was nervous, because I am. Can we just have a moment of silence? My name is Sharon S., and I'm a recovering addict. My clean date is 8/21/98. Yeah. 20 years. I'm really, really grateful for the process of recovery and for being able to find a new way to live through the rooms and the steps provided to me through Narcotics Anonymous. Wow. The literature tells us that we've never seen an addict who lives the Narcotics Anonymous program use. And I believe in the literature, and in my life, that has been my reality. Relapse is a reality, but it's not a requirement. And since I've came to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, I haven't found a reason to use any more dope. So I want to give somebody that hope shot, just because I don't hear that a whole lot. But, you know, when you get here, you never have to use again, one day at a time. If I was going to title this, it would be, I Woke Up Like This. Y'all know Beyonce, you know, she be like, I woke up like this. But what I really want to say is I didn't just wake up like this. I had an awakening. As a result of the program and the steps of Narcotics Anonymous, I had a spiritual awakening. And I'm just really, really, really grateful because, like, you know, the addict that introduced me said, people have a lot of preconceived perceptions about you because of the way you look. Right. So, you know, on any given day, I look like I woke up like this, but I had an awakening. And so my story is just like a lot of other people's story, you know, and then it might be, you know, you might find some similarities and you might not find no identification, but I hope that you find the process of recovery in my story because it works. My mom had me as the product of an adulterous affair, and she was involved with a man that she was, you know, just having sex with because my father who raised me gave her permission to do that. He was a stone cold, sloppy, drunk, pissy alcoholic. And as a result of that, he was impotent. And so since he was impotent, he couldn't have sex with her. He told her, you know, just go on and find you a man and, you know, get your funky off. Just don't leave me. And so she did that. And as a result of that, I was conceived. And so I have siblings that are like a generation older than me. So my mom and dad raised me like an only child. And my father, who raised me, you know, accepted me as his own. You know, my mom, he made her commit not to tell me that he was my father, that he wasn't my biological father. But, you know, because he was an alcoholic and he embarrassed me a lot, he was drunk and all of that, you know, I had resentments with him because we lose respect for people when they don't have any respect for themselves. And so, you know, I remember saying to her, I hate him. He made me sick. I wish he wasn't my daddy. I wish he wasn't my daddy. And then one day she said, he ain't your daddy. You know, I was about 12. And so from that point, I wanted to get that like DNA identification because, you know, I never thought I looked like him. I didn't think I looked like her. So I really thought I was adopted, you know, and I couldn't really understand why I would be adopted into this household that was so crazy and, you know, turbulent because, you know, they argued and fussed and fought and all of this, you know. And so I really wanted to see who my biological father was. And my mother took me to meet him, and I met him. I spent time with him a couple times in my life. You know, they called him the Godfather. and he had an apartment or something down. It was supposed to be a penthouse. Correction. It was in the Twin Towers in subsidized housing. And so, you know, he had a house joint, basically. That's all it was. And I remember after the second time I went to visit him, he told me that, you know, this environment wasn't conducive to a young lady and that I shouldn't come back. And so that was my first feelings of rejection and abandonment that I really could, you know, identify with now that, you know, I'm in this process. I wanted that relationship really bad because I didn't really identify with the father that was raising me, but he did the best he could, and he loved me like his own child, to the best of his ability. When I was about 5 years old, I was molested by a female. My mom would take me to the babysitter's house, and the babysitter's adopted daughter would fondle me. And I never told anybody what happened. You know, I just thought it was, you know, something I should just accept and deal with, I guess, because a child doesn't have the ability to rationalize, you know, what's going on here. I just knew that my mom was taking me here and this was happening to me, so I just dealt with it. And it wasn't until, you know, I came to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous and worked my 4th step that I even realized that I wasn't a willing participant. You know, we have a lot of things that happen to us sometimes early in life when we're children that are crippling. You know, they have a lifetime lasting effect on us, but, you know, we can't necessarily identify it. You know, I like to equivalent, you know, to reckon it with, like, say, being dropped. You know what I'm saying? Because if you dropped as a child, it can stunt your growth. It can cause you to be crippled. It can cause all kind of, you know, defects, mental disabilities and so forth. And so being molested was like being dropped as a child. You know, because I carried that crippling thing with me. And because the person that molested me was a female, I developed confusion about my sexuality. Okay. And it wasn't even until I was getting prepared to speak today that I had a new revelation, because, you know, this process is like peeling an onion. And so just because we've been through the steps one time and we work with our sponsor and, you know, we do the step work, we don't always get the full revelation, you know, of how things have affected us. And so, you know, when I was a little girl, I was really promiscuous. You know, I had low self-esteem. You know, I remember my sister gave me a super relaxer, right, in the 6th grade, the Revlon. You know, she gave me a Revlon super. And like my hair was like long because she was rolling it up like this, you know, and 6 months later it was like this. And they was like bald head scallywag, ain't got no hair in the back, you know. The kids was teasing me. You know what I'm saying? 6th grade, that's devastating. You know, and back then, you know, full lips wasn't in. So I had big lips, you know what I'm saying? They paying for these now. You know, trying to get some lip injections. But it's all natural, baby. So, you know, I had big lips and a bald head and all that. So, you know, it played into my self-esteem, and it created a low self-worth, coupled with the fact that I had been molested by this female, and I had all these feelings behind that. So when I became promiscuous with these little boys, because the first one that said, "Oh, you cute," you know, I gave them some. But it wasn't until just the last couple weeks when I was thinking about all this, you know, because you be going over your story in your mind, trying to figure out how you gonna tell your story in 25 minutes. And so I came to the realization that not only was I promiscuous because of my low self-esteem, but I also was promiscuous because I was trying to prove to myself that I wasn't a lesbian.
Right.
You know, and I ain't got nothing against nobody else's lifestyle, but I was raised a different way. And for me, that was a moral dilemma. And whenever I was with women, I always felt filthy and degraded because it went against my own personal belief system. See, because I was raised in the church. I was the good little girl. I was the little Pentecostal child and went to church and sung in the choir and all of that. But I fell far away from that lifestyle. And as I matured, I always had women and men. And the women in my life was a secret because I was ashamed of it, because I really didn't understand why I kept gravitating to them. But then, you know, I realized that it was a seed that was planted in me as a child because I was molested by a female. So as I, you know, go on and try to tell y'all some more of my story, I got some highlighted notes. You know, because I was like, I got some points I want to make. You know, one of the things that I also realized that, you know, like the weave master. She talked about the weave master. Weave master was birthed out of losing my hair. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it grew back, but it wasn't never that head of hair. And so I think I spent the rest of my life trying to have the hair that I always thought I should have had if she hadn't messed up my hair. You know, so a lot of things go into creating, you know, that character that we were before we got here, right? You know, I still love clothes and fashion, and I like to, you know, be fly and dress. And I thought that it was all about switching addictions. When I first got here and started working some steps, I was like, okay, I'm just, you know, a shopping fanatic because it's replacing, you know, the dope. But it actually go a little further than that, because when I was in 11th grade, we had a fire in our home and all my clothes got burnt up. And in 11th grade, for a teenager to lose their wardrobe, that was devastating. And I spent the rest of my life trying to recover that wardrobe. Because when the fire was over with, I was left with a pair of penny loafers and a house coat. You know, so those were the type of things that helped mold my personality, you know, and my desire for, you know, a whole bunch of different stuff. And, you know, when I got here, I had a $700 a day habit. I snorted so much cocaine, I really still do not understand why I don't have a hole in my nose. Okay. And the people that I was recovering with in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous when I got here, they didn't use what I used. You know, I was like, Whitney, I don't smoke crack. Crack is whack. But it brought the same, you know, the dope brought me to my knees. Okay. You know, I can't tell you how much drywall I snorted. You know what I'm saying? Crawling around on my knees, going back and forth to the car. You know, the whole shebang. I did that. That was me. And so, you know, when I came to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, I was not in denial. I knew for a fact that I was an addict. You know, it wasn't no mystery to me, because I spent about 3 hard years using. You know, the first year was you know, you thought you was having a little fun. Because, see, I had been married twice before. And after that second failed marriage, I was just mad. I was mad at God. I was mad at the world. I was mad at the fact that I had tried to be the good wife and all that. So I made a conscious decision. I'm going to go out here in the world. I'm going to get high. I'm going to get me a dope boyfriend. And I'm going to do everything I ain't never did before, because I had been married up until then. And both of my marriages failed. My second marriage was really devastating to me when it failed, because I had, you know, a baby. She was young, and we had planned this baby and all this. And, you know, he still didn't want me. He beat me. He abused me. He cheated on me. The first husband did all that. So I'm going to go out here and I'm going to, you know, I'm going to do what everybody else I think is doing. And it tore me a new hole. And it didn't take long. So by that third year, I was thoroughly beaten. And when I came to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, you know, an addict had carried the message to me while I was still using. And when I got here, I'm really grateful that Narcotics Anonymous is a spiritual and not religious program. Because see, I was raised in the church with all the dogma of the church. So had I gotten here to Narcotics Anonymous and this had been a religious type setting and everybody was talking about, you know, hallelujah, praise the Lord, I would have left. I would have ran right back out of here because I had come to a point in my life where I felt that I was so far from the good little church girl that I had been raised to be that I wasn't even worthy to stand in God's presence, let alone in a congregation with folks that's, you know, supposed to be praising the God of my understanding. So it took me 5 years after I got clean to even be able to step into the place that I choose to worship outside of Narcotics Anonymous. But through the process of keep coming back, not only did I develop a new relationship with the God of my understanding who was loving and caring, but I was able to go back to church and not only go back to church, but be a planter of churches and to be a pastor and to be a foreign missionary and to go out into the world and have a congregation that's virtual that consists of thousands and thousands of people to study the biblical principles that I believe in and to acquire a master's degree after 8 years of theology. So I'm just grateful that this room gave me the opportunity to be able to build a relationship with my God of my understanding without shoving religion down my throat. You know, when I got here, I was wearing a size 4 stretch denims that was too big. They was not calling me the weave master. Weave was on crooked. I was a mess. But through this process, I've been able to not only, grow and develop. I even wrote a book about my story. I wrote 2 books, as a matter of fact. You know what I'm saying? So, lost dreams awaken and new possibilities arise. You know, I still was really stuck in a place of low self-esteem when I got here. You know, I traded the addiction of drugs for sex, looking for love and settling for sex, looking for love and settling for sex, and I was so desperate to do anything to get outside of myself. Help me. So that I wouldn't have to, face me. So I picked up the men. And then, to be honest about it, the sex was like another state of euphoria. It allowed me to escape. You know what I'm saying? So if the sex was good and it lasted a long time, that's the longer I can stay high. I mean, because of the low self-esteem and the low self-worth, I had a number of men in my life because what I came to the conclusion was, ain't none of them no good, so I'm going to just build me a man like Build-A-Bear. One for the sex, one that looked real good. Arm piece, one to pay the bills, and whatever it took and put me and man together because ain't none of them no good. But what I realized was it wasn't so much that none of them no good. I kept picking the same man. Okay. You know, after doing some step work and some self-assessment, I realized that subconsciously I picked the same kind of man who was normally below my caliber because I needed to feel superior. I needed to feel needed because I still suffer from the rejection from my dad.
Share.
So I'm gonna get with these men that ain't got nothing. He ain't got no car, so I'm gonna let him drive my car because he gonna come back.
Share.
I'm gonna buy him a wardrobe because he a bum. I'm gonna dress him up, make him look good, so he gonna come back. And I did the same thing in my relationships with women because, you know, the women that I interacted with, I felt like they ain't really like me. I ain't never fit in. So, you know, I tell you what, I'm going to do your hair. I'm going to give you a discount. I'm going to give you all my old clothes and all of that. So maybe you won't leave me. You know, so I came in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous and, you know, I found myself alienated within the rooms where the place where I had found the hope and the freedom to recover. But, you know, I did have some significant differences, even though I knew that I had some, you know, whole lot of similarities, because after a year clean, I found myself on national TV. I became a public figure. I became a celebrity stylist, and I was on syndicated talk shows and being flown all over the country and riding in limousines and all of this stuff. And that was an ego-inflating situation for an addict with a year clean. Come on, share. So yeah, I got the big head. I'm all that in a bag of chips. Y'all don't know. I'm the weed master. Because when you turn on the TV and you keep seeing yourself on the TV, then you can get some identification with how hard that was. I ain't have no identification with that in the room. I'm sorry. Right. Can't even go to the grocery store without people chasing you down the aisle. Can I have your autograph? Oh my God, I love you. So you're talking about, oh yeah, I got a facade. I got a persona.
Okay. All right.
But thank God for the steps. And the traditions. I ain't go on national TV them 17 times and local TV, public access, cable, the news. I'm talking about a real media magnet, and still is. But I ain't going there talking about I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous because I would have put this fellowship to shame. Because it's a process. You know, but the steps showed me that, you know, I was the problem, especially in those relationships where I was trying to make me a man. And I had to come to a place where I began to love me for me. I had to come to a place because, you know, the 10th step and the 11th step, they allowed me to create some boundaries. It was okay for me to have some criteria for you to date me. You had to at least have a job, a car, and a crib.
Right. Okay.
Or 2 out of 3. But my soulmate, you know, he met all the criteria. He met all the criteria. I like to say now, you know, by the grace of God in this program, for the first time in my life, I've been in a monogamous relationship for 14 years. Lost dreams awaken and new possibilities arise. I woke up like this. It's when I woke up as a result, you know, of this program and these steps, I realized that I had a purpose, you know, and part of my purpose that is to help equip other people to overcome their disadvantages, you know, to carry the message in the way that I live, you know, to show up, you know, for somebody else so they can see that no matter where you've been, no matter where you come from, no matter how exceptional and how, you know, whatever the word is I'm looking for, unique that you might feel that you are, you still you still belong. So I'm just really grateful to be in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. I'm grateful to be clean. I'm grateful for sponsorship, which is the heartbeat of this program. I've had numerous sponsors throughout this process, because what is, relevant or successful in one stage of your recovery may not be sufficient for the next stage.
That's right.
The journey continues. My name is Sharon. I'm an addict. Thanks for letting me share.